This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Alison Escalante. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am.
You're great, are you? She said,
I'm great.
I am. I love that. You know, if you said I am to the beginning of that, that would have been really cool. Let me start over one more time, yeah?
Sounds great.
Good night, Alison Escalante. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Now, you are a doctor, right? And I'm intrigued. Like, you didn't correct me, right? You didn't say, well, it's Dr. Alison Angel. You allowed that to flow, didn't you? You're a humble person, are you?
I hope so.
Well, that makes it score even more, you know, the fact that you didn't say, yes, I am. That's wonderful. Well, Dr. Alison, do tell me, what part of the world are you in right now?
Well, right now I'm in Illinois, in a suburb of Chicago.
All right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at a specific time in history?
You know, I'm really good at identifying the core of problems that keep us from thriving and healing them.
Ooh, who did you learn that from?
You know, seeing to the core of things is something I've always done. And I have to credit my teachers. I got wonderful teaching in my undergraduate when I studied the history of ideas, and also in my medical training, because diagnosis is about determining what's underneath. But I have to say that my father is an engineer, and for much of his career, he had this unique talent to understand highly complex concepts and explain them very simply. And I think that's who I really learned it from.
So do you see like your mind operating from that engineering perspective sometimes?
I think so. I think that I was definitely trained in analytical conversations that were quite lengthy at family dinners.
That was funny. So, I mean, were the meals as great as the conversations?
Oh, my mom was a great cook, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Just to give that conversation the balance that's necessary. Wonderful. So why will you continue to repeat that skill and to be that person who approaches conversations from that perspective, if you would?
I can't help it. I think it's kind of fundamental to who I am. I don't think I can exist without doing this. I've always wanted to understand, really understand what's going on. And then I can't help wanting to heal and communicate once I figure out what the matter is. I think one of the things that's wonderful about being a pediatric physician is that my patients are all growing and vividly alive. And I think that is what life is all about. So I look for us to have growth and thriving, and I look to remove the obstacles that get between us and that.
Love it. Though, where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you?
Oh, well, my website is AlisonEscalante.com. That's 1L.
Tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Well, besides the usual doctoring, I do a lot of writing and speaking, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about what you write on, please.
Well, sure. I'm currently writing articles and working on a book to try to help parents with the growing culture of anxiety and criticism. You know, parents are told they have to get it perfect or they're going to totally mess up their kids. And this creates so much pressure that we end up doing exactly the sort of things that might make it more difficult for our kids, even out of good intentions. So I write about that, and I write about what I call the should storm, the storm of I should do this and I should do that. And then once parents see that that is not how it automatically is, but that's a cultural influence, then I have some steps to help parents connect better with themselves and their kids.
How does it make you feel to see what you've uncovered by the work you've been doing?
Well, I just hope that it's helpful. I think people tell me that it is, and that it's made some changes in their homes. And I hope it can ripple out so that more people can thrive more in their families.
Tell me about the 3-step method. Please, just dive quickly into that.
Oh, sure. Well, I teach people that whenever you feel a should, just sigh, take a big breath, and let it out as slowly as possible. Then see what's going on, see the situation, see your child's body language, and then start. You can start something, you can start nothing, you can start the wrong thing. It doesn't really matter, because as soon as you sigh, see, and start, you're connecting with yourself and you're connecting with your child, and so you're going to learn very quickly. You know, when people get it right, they can store that away as something they've learned. But if they get it wrong, they might feel a should. Oh, I should have done it differently. And guess what you do then? You just sigh, see, and start again.
That's wonderful. I love when things that seem so challenging are simplified. Another S. And that's beautiful. Well done. Ooh, I'm going to be testing that. All right, my friend. Well, let's switch gears for a moment, Alison. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Alison, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I remember crouching in the grass in my yard, and I was examining the grass. I can imagine the clear, vivid green and the different sizes of the blades, and I remember ants crawling and observing the insects. In the distance, I can see my mom hanging laundry on the clothesline and my little brother toddling around her legs. And I see my red tricycle, and it appeals to me for a moment, and I think about riding it. But then I go back to really examining the grass because it's fascinating.
How old do you think you were in this memory?
Well, I would have had to be 4 because we moved by the time I was 4.5.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
You know, I think it's something I've always done, observing, understanding, but it's also an interesting memory because the feeling of connection and the feeling of ease with life is so present. It's as though I was really being myself.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I think it's some of the same things that I do now. My parents always said that I used to sit in my high chair and examine my food and carefully consider it. And they said they knew I would be some form of scientist.
I love that. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
I'd be fascinated.
Even from the beginning of our conversation, when you spoke about the conversations and then you spoke about you being a pediatrician and how it's necessary to understand what's happening because the child is growing. I love that because I never actually took that into consideration. It's one thing when it's analyzing a bicycle, like the red bicycle, that doesn't grow. It's one thing when different thing when you're analyzing the processes that are happening where the ants are crawling on the grass, and that's something. But then there's your brother, the toddler, and your mother, and that growth, and to see that you're analyzing all 3 at the same time and processing at that tender age is absolutely fascinating to me.
Wow, you created a beautiful image in my mind.
That's wonderful. It's yours. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Yes, so that was She Drives Me Crazy by Fine Young Cannibals.
Oh, there we go. Love it. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Alison, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Well, I hope that I can train my 2 boys in the ability to think through a problem clearly.
Are you married?
I am.
So you have 2 boys. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Nope.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Well, if you add in electronic medical records, probably more than 8.
All right, Alison, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Alison Escalante, what would you say that is?
Probably something like, "Hi, I'm Alison and I'm delighted by life. Now, what can I do to help?"
I love it. I love that. Alison, this was such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Well, guys, we're in this together, and I hope you'll connect. You heard my website, AlisonEscalante.com. You can watch my TEDx talk, which goes into PsyC and START in more depth, and read my writing on Psychology Today.
Love it. Alison Escalante, Dr. Alison Escalante. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Well, thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazon Enterprise.